News that has rocked the Republican convention today. Vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin's 17-year-old daughter is pregnant. When did the McCain campaign find out, and what does it mean in presidential politics? We'll talk about that when we come back. And Tucker, you there?
Yeah, Campbell, can you hear me?
Good. Yes, we got you in the chair. I'm glad you're with us. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us tonight. I just want to begin by asking, what we've been discussing before you sat in the chair. Governor Palin sharing a very difficult personal story today. The news that her unmarried teenage daughter is pregnant, that she plans to have the baby to marry the father. Explain to us when John McCain first learned about this.
Well, he learned about it during the vetting process before his selection. He did not consider it a disqualifier. Governor Palin has a long record of reforming Alaska, taking on the establishment for 13 years. She started out as a a civic activist in the PTA, went to the city council, on to be the mayor of her small town, took on big oil on the Oil and Gas Commission in Alaska, then to the governor's office where she's made serious bipartisan reforms. That's the reason she was selected. Certainly her personal family matters never disqualified her from serving public office, serving a higher office and a cause greater than herself. That's John McCain's message. She fits it perfectly, and we're happy to have her.
Tucker, though, this obviously putting this young woman, Bristol Palin, smack in the media spotlight at what's already got to be a very challenging time in her life. I mean, how do you respond to people who wonder why her mother would have subjected her to this kind of scrutiny by accepting this high-profile position?
Well, I think Governor Palin understands that these are serious times. We have serious challenges, and it's time to shake up Washington. It's the reason she was happy to take John McCain's invitation to go to Washington, make the changes that Americans need and Americans depend on. She's an expert on energy. She understands that we need an all-of-the-above energy approach that includes the alternatives and the renewable fuels. This is an important decision. So I think that it's dangerous to confuse her civic decision to get involved and make a difference in her country to a personal family matter that certainly there's a precedent to be private.
But I recognize that. But in an ideal world, it would be private. But, this is a presidential campaign, and nothing is private. The world is watching. And if we, as much as everyone might want to give this young woman her privacy, that's not going to happen. And so you do risk putting her through an incredibly difficult process by accepting this job if you're her mother. You can't deny that, right?
Well, the Palin family had made clear in their statement that they were hoping and continue to hope that this will be a private family matter. That was their intention from the very beginning. Media inquiries and attention are going to happen in a campaign, and they understand that. But it's important for us as we have a conversation with voters about how we can change Washington, how we can move forward and take on the big challenges that Americans expect of their public officials, that we keep a private matter private among their family. Certainly all of us, certainly all of the members of the media would expect that of Americans, and that's the way we're proceeding.
Tucker, foreign policy experience has been a huge issue in this campaign, because you guys made it a big issue in this campaign, pointing out time and time again, as you did, that John McCain had far more experience than Barack Obama, and that nothing, in your view, was more important in the campaign than the ability to be commander-in-chief. So I don't have to tell you that there's a feeling out there by some that you're not holding your VP pick to your own standard, the standard that you defined. So explain to us why you think Governor Palin is ready to be commander-in-chief.
Governor Palin has the good fortune of being on the ticket with John McCain, who there is no question is the most experienced and shown proven judgment on the international stage. He understands foreign affairs. He has a familiarity.
Well, we know all that about John
McCain,
Tucker. I asked you about her, though, because we all know the role of the VP, as John McCain has defined it, is to be able to step into the job of the presidency on day one if something should happen to the president. So I'm asking you about her foreign policy experience.
Yeah, Campbell, certainly there are a number of people that are supporting Barack Obama's candidacy and feel like he's experienced enough to take on the Oval Office. Our feeling is that Governor Palin has just as much experience as Barack Obama.
Okay, but you set a different standard.
That was candidate of our opponent.
So does she?
Pardon me, Kim?
You said it. What I'm saying is that you set a different standard by arguing how important it was with John McCain. And no one's arguing with you that he has much more experience than Barack Obama. So I'm just trying to get someone from the campaign to explain to me what foreign policy experience she has or what qualifications she has that would allow her to be ready to be commander-in-chief if something should happen to Senator McCain?
Well,
That's
Kim,
a fair
let me be
question,
clear.
isn't
I don't
it?
think there should be any problem explaining her experience. She has executive state level experience. She's been in public office reforming Washington. She's been in executive office longer and more in a more effective sense than Barack Obama's been in the United States Senate. She's been the commander of the National Guard of the Alaska National Guard
Tucker,
that's been deployed overseas. That's foreign policy experience.
All right. Just give me, Tucker, sorry, just
tough.
if I can interrupt for 1 second. Commander, because I've heard you guys say this a lot. Can you just tell me one decision that she made as commander-in-chief of the Alaska National Guard? Just one.
Yeah, she has made any decision she has made as the commander of the National Guard that's deployed overseas is more of a decision than Barack Obama has been making as he's been running for president for the last 2 years.
Give me an example of one of those decisions. I'm just curious. Just one decision she made in her capacity as commander-in-chief of the National Guard.
Campbell, certainly you don't mean to belittle every experience, every judgment that she makes as commander of the National Guard.
I'm belittling nothing. I just want to know one judgment or one decision.
Well,
I would love to know what one decision was. I'm not belittling anything, Tucker. I'm really not. I'm curious.
As she makes a decision as to how to equip, how to command the National Guard of in Alaska. That is
Tucker,
more
those are the
experience and
Pentagon's
more of a
decisions.
judgment
That's
than
General
Barack Obama's making on the
Petraeus.
campaign trail. That's my only argument.
No governor.
Pardon me?
No governor makes decisions about how to equip or deploy the National Guard. That, when they go to Iraq, those are decisions, as you well know,
Campbell,
are made by the Pentagon.
Campbell, on a factual basis, they certainly do. In Alaska, if you have any sort of emergency as things are happening in your state, the National Guard is under the command of the governor. That is more of a command role than Barack Obama has ever had. I would argue that on our ticket, John McCain and Governor Palin, between the two of them, have far more command experience in the military than either of the candidates on the Democratic side. And I do want to argue that this is about the top of the ticket. Ultimately, when people go into the ballot box and decide between Barack Obama and John McCain, they're going to decide between John McCain's record of reforming Washington and Barack Obama's rhetoric on the campaign trail. Doesn't have a lot of experience, certainly has no military experience, no command military experience, which both of our candidates have. That's an important distinction. I think voters will make the right call in November.
All right, Tucker, I'm gonna just give it to you, baby. We'll end it there, but I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to have this debate. I think it's important. People, don't know a lot about her, and they want to understand her qualifications as much as possible. We're not beating you up here. We're not trying to. We're just trying to educate ourselves and educate our viewers. So I really do appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on. And if I can, Tucker Bounds, if I can just bring back our panel in for 1 second, and David Gergen, Commander-in-Chief of the National Guard, is that a qualification to be Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America? I'm just asking.
Well, let's say Tucker Bounds does a pretty good job of defending his candidate. I must say, having been in that role, I understand, sometimes you face very tough questioning on things you don't particularly want to have to talk about, and he did a manful job. But I think these are exactly the kind of questions that need to be posed.